Now we'll play an interview of common Russian people along the streets in Russia, and we will translate the interview for you so that you can understand what's being said here.
These ordinary Russian people in the streets are asked a question: why do you think Putin bombs Ukrainian cities, peaceful Russian-speaking Ukrainian cities? And what do they answer? I don't believe anything. Putin is right. I'm for Putin. I wholeheartedly support Putin. Just wait a minute. Why do you think so? I'm not gonna tell you anything, but I am for Putin. Why do they bomb Russian-speaking cities and the lady is just walking away? Putin's troops entered Ukraine and now they bomb cities in Ukraine. Why do you think that's happening? Look at the pictures. These are all fake news, the guy says. This is all fake. War is always bad. That's what I'm gonna say. Were there a reason that Putin bombed cities in Russia? No. I'm not gonna tell you anything. Putin's troops are in Ukraine now. No, I'm not gonna tell you anything. So you see, all those people are very afraid to speak out because at the moment, speaking against what Putin says is a criminal offense in Russia. Just if you say no to war, you could be given 3 years in prison. And if you spread misinformation, so anything that is contrary to what we say on federal channels, that is a criminal offense, and that person could be given 15 years in prison. So people will lose not only their jobs for speaking out against the government, but they will also lose their freedom. And as we can see, all these people are very afraid to speak out, to even express their opinion about the regime. I only expect them to say good things about Putin and the war in Ukraine because they're just afraid for their lives at this point and for their freedom as well. I want to ask you a question. Why do you think? What's your opinion? Why Putin invaded Ukraine? My opinion is to protect the Russians. And I support him. I support his actions. I think that Putin is a very clever person and he knows what he is doing. I don't have negative opinion about him. That is what it is meant to be. That is my opinion. It's meant to be so. And we cannot influence his opinion either. It's meant to be so. Because they at the top, what she means at the top in the government, have big heads and they know better what to do. But still, what do you think? What is the reason to attack Ukraine? To attack the capital of Ukraine and Kharkiv? Why does he bomb? Why does he shell houses of peaceful people? Yes, I understand, and I don't like it at all. Don't think that we like this. I know that there are going to be sanctions against us and we are going to be affected. And inflation as well. And unemployment. But it's probably meant to be so and it's needed. That is my opinion. Okay, what this guy has to say. I think he says that he thinks that it's really bad. Peaceful people should not be killed. That is a catastrophe. That is a real catastrophe. Do you think that guy is not a Russian citizen? Because I think he's the only one, or one of very few, who says that it's a crime, right, to shell and to bomb peaceful people.
So one of the things I want to reiterate as well is that you can see a lot of positive comments and a lot of support for Putin, but I want to highlight that the only media source that the majority of Russian population are able to receive at this point in time is the Russian state media, or the channels from the Russian state media, which only portray the Russian-Ukraine conflict in a very positive light, with a very positive spin for the Russian government. One of the things that they do is to tell the Russian public that a lot of the buildings which have been shelled by the Ukrainians or the Ukrainian forces. So basically lots of false flag operations. The other thing that they say about Ukraine as well is a lot of nationalists are abusing people, and therefore the Russians are there to liberate the Ukrainians. And so you can see how they spin things around. And so that's one of the reasons why you can see that the Russian people do support Putin at this point in time. But one of the biggest issue is the informational war, because unless people are able to see what is actually happening, what they will believe what is being shown to them or told to them by the Russian state media, and therefore you get this an enormous amount of support of the Russian people for the government.
Yeah, but the ordinary Russian people don't have any access to opposing views. So literally all real journalism is banned in Russia at the moment. Because if journalists express view that is contrary to the Kremlin's, what they're gonna get a jail sentence. So they basically cannot say what is happening in Ukraine. They cannot express any opinion at all. And what Russian people watch is just the federal channels, which are funded by the government, and they are mouthpieces for the Kremlin and for the regime. So what people think is that the Russian troops there to protect Russia from neo-Nazis and to sort of like liberate Ukraine, and also to protect the interest of Russian citizens from NATO and from future or possible aggressions, Western aggressions.
And also because of the propaganda, it has put the Russian public in a position to think that any contrary news to what has been reported to them by the Russian government is fake news. And therefore, the only source of truth on what is happening is from the Russian government.
Yeah. So, for example, they show houses that are destroyed, like shelled houses, bombarded houses, and they say that this is what the Ukrainians did, not the Russians did that. Or they show as well that the Ukrainians welcome the Russian troops with open arms. Do you think that's possible?
I think it's unlikely, mainly because even if I would concede that there may be some false flag operations, it's just ludicrous to think that the Ukrainians would destroy all of their cities and kill many of their own citizens, hundreds and thousands of their citizens, just for a false flag operation, which is very, very unlikely. And therefore, I don't think that is even plausible. I think it's more plausible that the Russian army is actually doing all these criminal activities.
Yeah, but unfortunately at this point in time, Russian people only are exposed to one opinion, and that is the opinion of the government. Those people who might speak foreign languages might read Western media, but others, they just watch federal channels, and then they just listen to the propaganda, and then they think that Putin is the best politician and that the best thing that ever happened to Russia, because that's the way he is presented to them, because that is the only source of information that they have at the moment. They banned Facebook, they banned Echo of Moscow and other independent sources of media and information. They banned Twitter. There's criminal offense for speaking any truth at all or expressing your opinion. So it's just very, very difficult to have any opinion at all in Russia now, unless it's the opinion of the government. Putin couldn't have done that. To attack Ukraine, especially Ukraine, all our people are there, Russians are there, all Ukrainians and Belarusians. Putin couldn't have done that. They say different information on the news. That's the work of Zelensky and the Americans.
So just to reiterate, as you can see, there's a lot of positive support from the people interviewed on the streets in Russia, supporting Putin's actions, and some of them even deny that Putin has done any of the atrocities. So you can see exactly how badly misinformed the Russian public is at this point in time. And therefore, moving forward, I think one has to consider very well what type of actions the world as a whole should take with regards to Russia and with regards to Putin. Because at this point in time, it looks as though that there's a conflation between Russia and the Russian government. Because even though Russia itself might be a great country, but the Russian government, in particular Putin, is not does not represent what I think most Russian people think is being represented, which is that they think that the Russian military is going in there to liberate. In contrast, what is actually happening in reality is that the Russian military is being used for atrocities for Putin, and therefore there's a huge disconnect between what is being told to them and what's happening on the ground in reality.
And I think if they knew all the extent of the cruelty and they would get at least a gist of what's happening there, I think the public in Russia would be horrified. They would be absolutely horrified. But the way they portray it to the public is that what's happening in Ukraine is for the benefit of the Russians, because the Ukrainians collaborate with the West and NATO, and this is a preemptive strike to save Russia. That is what they think. But I think if they knew the truth and the cruelty and about the refugees and dispossessed people, I think they would have, their opinion would be very different.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think their opinion would be different?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people are misinformed in Russia at this point in time. And that's where the biggest issue is at this point in time, I feel, is that informational war. To be able to provide them the ground or truth information as to what's happening in Ukraine and the atrocities which are being committed by Putin.
Yeah, and I think they are losing. The West is losing the informational war in Russia because there's such a huge censorship there. And what to do about it, right?
And if the common Russian people gets affected by the sanctions, to them it would be an injustice. But that's because they do not know exactly what's happening or what's been happening.
Do you think if Russian people are affected by those economic sanctions, they're gonna wake up, that they're gonna feel that something is wrong? Why is the whole world supporting Ukraine? Do you think they would ask those questions?
I think they would feel a sense of injustice, because if what's being portrayed to them is that they are going there as good people to help people in need, and then they are getting backlash for something which they think they are doing the right thing, I feel that they will feel a sense of injustice. And that's the biggest problem at this point in time, is that the Russian people are completely blinded to what's actually happening, and therefore sanctions on them may not be the right thing to do, because they would feel a sense of injustice, and they might end up feeling that they are the victims instead, because they think that they are doing the right thing, but everyone in the West is against the right thing to do.